Yeah.
Welcome back to the Super Fantasy Bros podcast. You know the drill at this point. Injuries, calm or chaos, trust or bust, and some trade targets. And we have a special thing here at the end. So
So
make
they
sure
don't
you
know the
stay
drill.
tuned for that. All right, Q. Well, you know most of the drill. Gotta spice it up every once in a while, you know?
Oh, I
A
know.
little spice in there.
A little bit of spice. Make it a little spicy.
You smoke.
All right, before we get into everything, let's just talk about our league for a second before we get into it.
Not talk about our league.
All
Please.
right, all right.
Right. This is like my
Let's talk
getaway.
about it.
This is my getaway from that league, and now let's just talk about it.
We're talking about the playoff race here, man. I think everybody's still alive, including you two, as much as you are down about it. The playoff spot for the 6th seed is currently a record of 4-6. So we're all trying to push into that in our 12-team league. It is tight.
It's gonna be like
say
the
the
NFC
least.
East for the last pick or last
Yeah,
spot.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the winner of the NFC East will be whoever wins the 6th seed. It's gonna be bad. All right, but let's get into it. Let's forget about our league. Let's help some other people win their leagues.
That's what we're here for, baby.
Exactly. So let's get into some injuries. So luckily, not that many this week. We'll start with Drew Brees, probably the biggest one of them all. He has multiple rib fractures, a collapsed lung, and will be missing in an optimistic view 2 to 3 weeks.
I know he said he wanted to be reevaluated. I guess he doesn't believe that his lung collapsed, but
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess they'll check it out, see if he can return any sooner. He'll definitely be back for like their playoffs, but for now, it's looking like Jameis Winston's going to be the guy there moving forward. What impact does he have on this offense, if any? Does it change at all?
on Monday morning, I made an Instagram story asking, is he going to be an upgrade, like quote unquote upgrade? Because it sounds crazy calling Jameis Winston an upgrade from Drew Brees, but he's much more aggressive throwing the ball.
Throwing interceptions, you mean?
Throwing interceptions, but he'll be more aggressive throwing long shots downfield that Drew Brees hasn't done this season. So I think there'll be some setback with the interceptions, but you could cash out with touchdowns.
Yeah, I actually think he helps the pass catchers in this offense. I would agree with you there. Like Emmanuel Sanders, Michael Thomas, who's obviously been struggling. I think he helps them out. I like Jameis Winston's ability to push it downfield way more than Drew Brees was. Drew Brees pretty much had like the one of the shortest depths of target among all quarterbacks in the league. Let's move on to the next kind of big injury. I mean, not too much of a big injury, but worth noting. Teddy Bridgewater, he did sprain his MCL. He is questionable this week, so he might actually be able to play. But if he does miss time, what impact on the offense would PJ Walker have starting?
I knew you wanted to bring him up. Like I go to Temple too, and I have no hope in this man doing anything more than what Teddy couldn't do.
Yeah, I'm not saying. I actually think it's probably maybe like a little bit of a step back. Like we've seen PJ Walker go off in the XFL.
Houston Roughnecks.
The Houston Roughnecks. He was the MVP
cannot
there.
compare any other football league to the NFL.
I was going to say that, but
it doesn't work.
I was just going to let it go.
No, I know. Definitely you can't compare that, but he does obviously have a similar skill set. He can run the ball a little bit, and he has a pretty good arm to air it out. So I think he would just be more prone to make those interceptions. Teddy's pretty solid at like staying focused, not making too many turnovers. I don't think it changes that much. I think they're still going to have to throw in most games to keep up with other teams as long as McCaffrey is out.
You guys would know a lot more than me. You guys are Temple fanboys. I don't really know much about PJ Walker, honestly. So,
yeah, he's pretty decent. He's all right. He'll get the job done. All right, one more injury here was JaMycal Hasty. If you were still starting him, that's unfortunate because he broke his collarbone this past week, and he wasn't playing that well in the first place. He's done for the season. So the 49ers running back curse continues. Pretty much every running back that has stepped foot on the field for the 49ers has missed at least 1 week.
I think it's the whole team.
Yeah, I mean, it is the whole team for sure. Their defense has a lot of missing pieces. Offensive line's lost a couple. It's that Super Bowl.
Don't jinx it. You better knock on wood right now.
Yeah, it's Super Bowl hangover, but the running backs specifically, I mean, I think they've had 5 different running backs play, and they've all missed at least one game. But it looks like McKinnon is the only healthy, relevant running back until Tevin Coleman comes back. I think they're on a bye this week, right?
Yeah, they are. So they'll both be relevant. And you hope that Mostert comes back maybe after the bye as well. So
Yeah, you're hoping that Mostert and Tevin Coleman can come back. If not, it looks like it's just going to be the McKinnon show. So if you have McKinnon, you're feeling hopeful that you might be able to start him in week 12. But let's get into calm or chaos.
Uh-oh.
Let's start with quarterbacks. Probably an MVP favorite right now, Russell Wilson.
He's dropped a bit.
Yeah, drop him. Sucks.
I don't think that's what Q meant.
No.
No, definitely not. He's definitely been a little bit off the past few weeks, to say the least. He had 248 yards, 2 interceptions, and 1 fumble lost, 8 carries for 60 yards, and no touchdowns. So this was actually by far the worst game of the season. Before that, I mean, he was pretty solid every game, even despite an uptick in turnovers the past couple weeks. I'm still trusting Russell Wilson personally.
Yeah. You ride with Russell Wilson, you die with Russell Wilson.
But you are hoping that he does get his running back because that's another thing. Like, he's coming into these Sundays like, I got to score 30 points. My defense can't stop a thing. And, like, I don't have a running back. So Chris Carson back, we saw what he did at the beginning of the season. That's when he was dropping like 35 plus a game. So
I mean, hopefully he's back. If not, at least they have Carlos Hyde
Carlos
back,
Hyde
though.
definitely a bigger upgrade than
Yeah,
Travis
for
Fulgham.
sure. And DJ Dallas.
Yeah, Q, that is a good point. Missing that running back definitely hurts their offense a little bit. Obviously, DJ Dallas and Travis Homer have been inconsistent, to say the least.
Yep. And like you said, that defense is horrible, so they know that they don't have to stack the box if no Chris Carson's there.
Yeah, agreed. But pretty much, you're starting Russell Wilson. Don't overthink it. Lock him in. If you're panicking, don't. Just don't. Stay calm. Carson Wentz, 208 passing yards and 2 carries for 4 yards, 8 fantasy points. Is this calm or chaos on
This
Wentz?
is chaos.
It's been chaos all season.
I think
The
it's
only,
calm
the only promising sign is our upcoming schedule where we are going to have to throw a lot.
He's going to
And-
be Russell Wilson.
Hopefully he can get all of his weapons back and healthy because, I mean, it's just every week someone else is coming back, going out. It's just a roller
How
coaster
do
so
you
far
not-
this season.
How do you not score a touchdown against the Giants?
They ran them.
I don't
Yeah.
get it.
They ran.
Because they
ran
like
them.
to run it with everyone else aside from Miles Sanders.
Yeah, even Miles Sanders owners were pissed because Corey Clement and Boston Scott found the end zone and not Miles Sanders.
I wanted to punch my TV. Well, Dape's TV because I was watching it there.
Yeah, Carson Wentz has definitely struggled the last 2 weeks after looking like he was back. So pretty much he's just a risky quarterback play at this point. You know he's going to have to throw a ton to keep up with the next 5 games. So if you want to take that risk, feel free to take that risk. But I'm saying chaos on Carson Wentz right now. It's just too much inconsistency for me to feel confident putting him in my lineup, especially with the playoffs coming up.
Don't take that risk.
Yeah, I would advise not to. But if you're that desperate, I mean, he could. You never know. All right, one more quarterback here is Ryan Tannehill. He had 147 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 carries for 9 yards. So another poor game for Tannehill here. At least he found the end zone for that touchdown. Is this calm or chaos on Tannehill?
I'm calm. I think you're giving the whole offensive pass sort of because they played the Colts, but 3 of the 4 of us warned how low we were on Tannehill coming into this week. And he showed why.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, agreed. That was definitely a tough matchup. Honestly, the last 2 matchups were tough. He has less than 160 passing yards in each of the last 2 games. And the upcoming 2 games are at Baltimore and at Indianapolis. So if you have another option, I would look for them for the next 2 weeks. But Tannehill's upcoming schedule is looking pretty tasty.
Yeah, definitely would not get rid of him.
Yeah.
Hold on to him because there's promise in the future, and I'll get into that later.
Yep, exactly. All right, let's get into some running backs that have been struggling. At the top of the list, a guy I did not think would be here, James Conner, 13 carries for 36 yards, 2 catches for 12 yards. James Conner now has back-to-back poor performances. Is this calm or chaos on Conner?
It could
I
be a
think
little
you guys-
chaotic. He could be hurt and not saying anything.
He hasn't been as involved in the passing game
Nah.
as you are used to.
Why not?
Ben's-
That's
Ben's
not
been
possible.
I
airing
don't,
it out.
Like that's not
you
possible.
can't assume an injury.
I can. I can assume.
Well, I mean, you can, but we all know what comes with assuming.
Go ahead, say it. No, you're dying to say it.
I can't curse on live.
I mean, you can if you want, but
Makes an ass out of you and me.
There it is. I was waiting. Yeah, Q, his volume has been a little bit down the past few weeks. Honestly, his efficiency has been down though as well. He's averaged 3.1 yards per carry or worse in each of the last 3 games, and 15 carries or less in the last 3 games. So it's been a little risky. I mean, he was pretty consistent and he was finding the end zone. He hasn't found the end zone in the past 2 weeks, and that's obviously hurt him.
Yeah. But I mean, that defense is going to keep them in games. They're going to eventually run the ball. I mean, I have all the faith in the world in Connor. I'm staying calm on him.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm staying calm. I think it makes you raise an eyebrow.
That was disgusting.
Like, you think about it a little bit, but you're still starting Connor. You're still rocking out with Connor for now.
Q, you look fried.
Yeah.
What if I only had one eyebrow?
He was really thinking about that eyebrow.
Yeah, he said, what would I look like this?
Well, I meant like this.
Oh, like a unibrow?
Yeah, why would it say one?
Oh,
you said one eyebrow.
I thought he meant one eyebrow too for some reason.
I
I
mean,
didn't think
that is
You
one
could have said
eyebrow.
All right.
whatever.
All right, Anthony Davis.
The next running back here is Duke Johnson, 14 carries for 54 yards, and unfortunately no passing game involvement. Is this calm or chaos on Duke?
You're calm. They were throwing in like a tornado of wind.
Yeah, you're definitely staying calm on Duke. I agree.
He's the only running back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really have nobody else. The weather was such an impact. I mean, we saw Deshaun Watson struggle. Pretty much the whole team struggled. So rock out with Duke. Next one here.
Chaotic guy.
Melvin Gordon, 11 carries for 46 yards.
You might as well go to court now.
And zero catches. Q, you can start us off here. Are you chaos on Melvin?
I said it last week. No, I do. I will take back. I would not take Lindsey over him. I'd rather have neither of them. But 6 points in 2 weeks, and you were paid all this money to be their RB1. Like, you should have just kept Lindsey at that point. This is bad. He's he's now like almost leaving flex consideration.
Yeah, I would definitely leave him on my bench for now. That backfield in the hole, like you said, is kind of scary. It's way too unpredictable. I just feel better leaving all Broncos running backs off of my starting lineup.
Yeah, I would agree. And even with the pass catching, like, you expected him to have that solid floor. He has 1 catch in the last 2 weeks. So in games where they've been throwing too, Drew Lock's been running it, or they've just been finding other ways to move the ball down the field with all of their wide receivers getting a little bit healthier, obviously aside from Sutton. But yeah, I don't know. I'm avoiding Melvin Gordon. It's chaos right now. Don't start him, but definitely hold on to him.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Taylor. Now this one is interesting. 7 carries for 12 yards and 2 catches for 25 yards. He had at least 14 touches in every single game, weeks 1 through 6. And in the last 3 games, his touches have gone from 13 to 8 to 9. Is this calm or chaos?
I think he lost.
It's chaos. Yeah, he did. Nyheim Hines is going to be that leading back from this week moving forward.
Nyheim Hines will get like 4 touches and still score 2 touchdowns. So
he makes the most with what he gets.
Yeah.
So, I mean, imagine if they're giving him 20-plus touches a game.
Love me some Nyheim Hines. But anyways, yeah, Jonathan Taylor, it's chaos. You can't start him right now. You're definitely holding on to him. He still has that talent, but we just haven't seen it the past few weeks. He struggled a lot. I just can't trust him anywhere near my lineup. You got to wonder if that ankle injury is still bothering him, or if it's a coaching decision. Maybe he's not putting as much effort out there. I don't know. But the last 3 weeks, Jonathan Taylor has not been the same as he was earlier this season. Leonard Fournette. Now, before this past week, it looked like Leonard Fournette might have this backfield taken over. But 8 carries for 19 yards and 2 catches for 11 yards. That's not enough work for Fournette to have some value here. Is this calm or chaos?
I feel like it's chaos for the whole team. The whole team is just chaos.
It's like who's getting.
It's way too unpredictable. I mean, they have one of the best offenses in football. You can't deny that, but you can't get everybody involved every game. That's unless Brady's throwing for 8 touchdowns, one to each starting player. I mean, it's
Kind of
just,
happened this past week, but
I don't know.
I think Ronald Jones 98-yard touchdown.
He got lucky.
solidified his like
He
starter
got lucky.
to be the starter the rest of the game because of that touchdown. Like he was the hot hand. Arian said before or in the season that he was going with hot hand, and that's what it looked like here.
It's
Yeah.
only a matter of time before Ronald Jones fumbles again.
Yeah,
100% on
bank
that.
on it.
Yeah, I think it's still going to be a 50-50 kind of backfield. I don't think Fournette is anywhere near like droppable, but I just don't feel confident starting either of them can like into my lineup and being like they're gonna get
Yeah,
solid
with
points.
confidence. No.
If it was Fournette who scored that 98-yard touchdown, I think we'd be forgetting about Ronald Jones.
Yeah, it would be a lot different story.
Yeah, and Fournette, you were relying on that passing game involvement, and in this game they really just didn't have to pass that much. They were up big and then
Yeah.
just kept going up bigger because the Panthers just kept turning it over. So it was a rough game for the Panthers, and it made it easy for the Bucks. Fournette did not get much passing game involvement. He might in the next two games, though. They got the Rams and the Chiefs, so I would lean towards Fournette that favorable the next 2
Yeah.
weeks, but I'm still not confident at all. You have no idea. It's a toss-up. Let's get into some wide receivers. Let's talk about one that was highly coveted to come back. And are you happy he's back? Michael Thomas, 2 catches for 27 yards on 7 targets.
Yikes.
Calm
Ooh,
chaos.
I think
What-
you got to stay calm. I mean,
What-
we just talked about how the. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off, Q,
Like,
but
what-
I
what-
promise you can go as soon as I'm done.
Oh,
But we
yeah.
just talked about how the quarterback change might be a bonus for the pass catchers in New Orleans. So, I mean, I definitely agree that Jameis Winston will push the ball downfield a lot more than Drew Brees. So I feel like that opens up a lot of Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. And, I mean, it's his second game back in, what, like 7 weeks, 8 weeks? So, I mean, you just got to stay calm. You know
I'm
who
not-
Michael –
I'm not giving him that an excuse because of Christian McCaffrey's one game back.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you said that. But
But what is Michael Thomas's trade value? Would you trade? Here's a couple guys I'll throw out. You just say this or that. Justin Jefferson.
this.
I'm
But I don't-
keeping Michael Thomas.
Wait, what
Say
is
the
this?
name.
He said you
Don't
could
say
say
this
this
or
or that.
Then the name or the other guy.
I'm keeping Michael Thomas on that.
Yeah, easily.
AJ Brown.
Easily keeping Michael Thomas. Not easily, but I'm keeping Michael
That one's
Thomas.
closer, but
I'm
I'm
fi-
taking Michael Thomas.
I'm keeping Michael Thomas.
I feel like if I had AJ, I'd be scared to do that trade.
Well, you do have AJ.
So you would be too scared to do that trade.
I'd be too scared to do that. I
That
like
one's
AJ.
close. I wouldn't get mad at somebody doing that trade.
Yeah, me either.
Tyler Lockett.
I'm
Tyler Lockett's
keeping-
been way too inconsistent.
I'm
taking
keeping
Michael
MT.
Thomas.
Terry McLaurin. One more.
That one's close. I kind of like Terry. I love
Terry's
Terry right
been
now. Terry's nice.
nice.
Terry
Terry
over
is-
Lockett.
Terry has 7 catches.
I
in
think
each
I
of
would
the last
take
4
Terry over
games.
Lockett.
We'll see. We'll see one more week.
If
I'll
I'm
come
taking
back to this
Terry over
question.
AJ Brown, I'm taking Terry over Lockett.
So Terry's top 10 for me right now. No
Yeah.
doubt. He's good. Terry
He's great.
McLaurin's legit.
We'll come back to this.
Yeah, we'll come back to Michael Thomas later. I do think Winston helps him out a little bit. I'm staying calm for now.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
DK Metcalf, 2 catches for 28 yards on 4 targets. He had a down week himself. I mean, the Seahawks really struggled this game, but he's struggled himself against Jalen Ramsey and Patrick Peterson now. And now he gets Pat Peterson again this week. Is this calmer chaos for DK Metcalf in general or only when he's playing these tough corners?
Stay
Droppable.
calm.
Drop him.
He's too
I
good.
bet you he redeems himself against
Yeah.
Pat Pete this week.
He needs one game like to go.
Pat
off
Pete
against
is
the
kind of
Cardinals.
on the older side, so I mean,
He did lock him up the first time though.
And he locked him up last year. too, I
Sean
think.
just said that.
Yeah.
But,
well,
DK is going to be just fine. You are staying calm on DK
He's too
Metcalf,
good.
regardless of who he's going up against.
Yeah, stay calm on DK. I'm with you guys. Just stirring the pot. AJ Brown, another one we just mentioned. 1 catch for 21 yards on 4 targets. Calmer chaos here.
So calm.
Colts defense too good.
Yeah, I've never been
Yeah.
more calm. I think the next 2 weeks he could be a little inconsistent still. We mentioned their schedule, but for the playoffs, AJ Brown is looking golden. Robbie Anderson, 4 catches for 21 yards on 6 targets. This is the fewest amount of targets he's had since week 6. Is this calm or chaos?
If we're letting DJ Moore go all these weeks, still being relevant, then we're giving Robbie gets a week to relax.
Yeah, he gets a pass.
He's calm.
He's
Yeah.
been the more consistent receiver in Carolina. So, I mean, everybody has a down week here and there.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. I'm staying calm on Robbie Anderson. He gets Detroit this week. I think he catches a long one. Devontae Parker, 2 catches for 31 yards on 7 targets in 3 of the last 4 games, 7 points or less.
Is Jakeem Grant on this team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
Jakeem
was
Grant.
targeted like an insane amount, it seemed, watching that game. Devontae Parker almost had a one-handed touchdown in the corner of the end zone, but he was out of bounds, so that kind of screwed
Alright.
everything up. His numbers for the day, but I'm still trusting him. It's calm, I guess, because unless Grant somehow takes over and Gesicki becomes what we thought he would be this year, then I'm still trusting him as a pass catcher on that team.
Yeah. The only thing that scares me is, like you guys just said, is the target share. Because he's only had 5 or more targets in 4 games this season. So, I mean, whoever's at quarterback, Tua, it was Fitzpatrick. They're spreading the ball around.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't really rely on him being that true number 1.
He's had 5 or more targets, 5 more catches. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Catches.
Yeah.
Did I say targets?
Yeah, I was like,
My
wait.
fault.
Fired.
Anyways, yeah, he's had 7 targets in the last 2
sorry.
weeks. I think he's had consistent volume. I think you gotta stay calm, but it's a little bit chaotic that he's just not putting up those numbers, especially if you're in like that playoff crunch and you need someone that's gonna put up numbers.
Agreed.
Travis Fulgham, 1 catch for 8 yards on 5 targets. And this was his first bad game in the NFL. Is this calm or chaos?
I don't know what to make of this.
You stay calm.
Yeah, but Alshon's getting more involved, and Ertz is going to be back. That's why I had to.
Drew loves
hurry up.
Alshon.
I'm just like Doug Peterson said this week that he's going to be more and more involved. So I just had to throw out the Ertz thing too, so you didn't just cut me off. Ertz is coming back as well. So
Ertz is coming back. Alshon had 1 target. He did nothing to impact Fulgham this week.
With
was
all
really
these
in the
people
game.
coming back, we're staying calm on him.
I'm
I
staying
am.
calm for now. I still think Fulgham's the number 1 option.
He's
currently.
easily the
And the
I'm
best
not
wide
gonna
receiver.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say the best pass catcher because I'll still give that to Ertz, but he's definitely one of the better options on that offense.
He's also a big play guy, so he can catch that one, make that 1 play, and get you that fantasy points that you need. So staying calm. It's only been 1 game. He was super consistent before that. I
Yeah.
want to, if he stays inconsistent, I might lean towards chaos at this point, but I think this is like a 1 bad game. He'll bounce back, especially against the Browns secondary here.
Wentz is going to have to throw the ball to somebody in these next couple games. So hopefully it's him.
Eagles have a tough schedule where they're going to
Yep.
be able to move the ball throwing. So
Slinging it.
last one here. I just combined all the tight ends that stunk this week. Evan Engram, Eric Ebron, Jared Cook, TJ Hawkinson, Austin Hooper, Darren Waller, Noah Fant, and Jimmy Graham all had 6 or less points.
Drop them all.
I guess I don't know. Do you stay calm on all of them because tight end is absolutely
Tight end-
dismal this
Tight
year.
end- This week, tight end 1 was tied between Gronk and Mark Andrews with 13 points. Depending on your league, it was just around roughly 13 points.
They got lucky that Kelsey was on a
No,
bye.
I'm just saying that's how bad tight end is. That's Gronk and Mark Andrews with 13 points as TE1.
Yep. So
That's
whatever
crazy.
tight end you have, keep riding them because there's
Or
literally
just
no one-
stream tight ends. Whoever
There's-
has the better matchup.
Yeah, there's literally no one better on waivers. It's
Taysom
like
Hill.
it's like I had to play the waivers this past week. I played Taysom Hill. He had 2 points. Q. Thank you.
You might
very
be
much.
better off starting him this week.
Yeah, maybe this week, but still don't feel confident in
Yeah.
Taysom Hill for any reason. Richard Rodgers was probably the best opportunity I had to start, and I wasn't going to start Richard Rodgers. So I don't know. Tight ends are
Somebody in
super
their league
inconsistent.
schemed you. You could have Logan Thomas.
Could have had Logan Thomas. I wanted Logan Thomas. I
You
did
play
get
with some
schemed.
scumbags.
Yeah. Yo, you got to be a scumbag to win sometimes.
Well, I got him now on my bench, and now he's just going to sit there and rot while I start Travis Kelsey every week. So, all right. Well, that wraps up Calmer Chaos here. Let's get into today's sponsor. So if you are out of the fantasy playoffs and you're looking to still get some fantasy football action, make sure you download the Thrive Fantasy app for iOS and Android. Thrive Fantasy app is a daily fantasy sports app for player props. And if you download the Thrive Fantasy app today and use our promo code SUPERFB, That is SUPERFB. And you deposit at least $20, you will get that deposit matched up to $50. So you deposit 20, they'll give you 20 free bucks. You deposit 50, they'll give you 50 free bucks. So definitely download this app. Check it out today. And it's not just football. They got golf. They got all kinds of sports on there. The Masters is going on right now.
Basketball's coming back.
Basketball's coming back. Make
The
sure you check
draft
out
is tonight.
the Thrive Fantasy app and use our promo code. Get that extra money and win some money while you are out of the playoffs. Whatever your league fee was, if you do a league fee, win that money back. All right. Let's get into the next segment here. Trust or bust?
Bust down.
Let's
What'd
start
you
it.
say?
He said bust down. I was waiting for Tatiana, but it didn't
There,
happen.
I just jinxed you on it.
Yeah, you did. You owe me a soda, though.
Somebody is. Oh no.
Anyways, let's
I'll
start
get
it.
you a bottle of squirt.
Don't feed Sean's soda addiction.
I will definitely drink some squirt.
Whoa.
All right, let's get into the first. Yo, Matt, stop laughing.
Yeah. That was the
Yikes.
funniest shit I've ever heard.
All right, let's start at quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger, 333 yards and 4 touchdowns, back-to-back 30-plus point games. Trust or bust on Big Ben?
You
It
trust
depends.
him.
Is James Conner going to keep doing nothing?
Regardless, he
I
still
don't know.
has
Yeah, I
all the
think
weapons in the world on
He's
the
like- yeah,
outside.
like, he has a top
And he has
3 receiving
Ebron.
core. I think he has a top 3 receiving core who's only going to help his stock.
Yeah. Big Ben, obviously he was limited when James Conner was scoring 1 or 2 touchdowns a week. I do think his wide receiver options are elite, though. Like Big Ben, as long as he can get the ball down the field and his knees are still working, you can start him out there. Top 10 option. at
I'm
least.
just saying, before these back-to-back 30-point games, he had 12, 16, and 19.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's why I'm still not saying must start, but he's getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that their defense can keep them in games so they won't have to throw as much. I mean, it brings them down a little bit, but I'm still starting them most weeks.
Yeah, I'm starting him. I mean, it depends on your options, obviously, but I still think he's a top 10 option right now. Let's get into running backs. Wayne Gallman, 18 carries for 53 yards and 2 touchdowns and a catch for 7 yards. He's had at least 1 touchdown in each of the last 4 games. Can you trust Wayne Gallman as an RB2 option heading into the playoffs here?
I have no
Or if he-
reason not to.
Yeah.
The numbers don't lie.
The past 4 games, he's had double-digit fantasy points, and I'm pretty sure he scored in each of them games.
2 of them are
like you
against the
just
Eagles
said.
too. I think
That says a lot about
But-
our defense.
as long as Freeman's out, you're keeping him in there and you're
Yeah.
trusting him. This is the offense as a whole, like the team as a whole, is playing. The Giants are playing a lot better football. So I wish Saquon was around when they decided to play better, but I would feel fine starting Gallman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still think he's more touchdown dependent just because he hasn't been that efficient. But also, he did have some really tough defenses he's played against. Obviously, we mentioned the Eagles, and he played the Tampa Bay Bucks run defense. Those are 2 of the top 10 run defenses this season thus far. So I'm trusting Gallman right now. There's probably not much better out there. The next one here might be still out there in your league. Kalen Ballage, 18 carries for 68 yards and 5 catches for 34 yards. He had 15 plus carries in the 2 games that he's played and is now officially signed to the Chargers active roster. So are you trusting him as a running back option moving forward?
I mentioned before the pod, Anthony Lynn said that he's now the premier back and wants to use him more. He's a big guy, and all I gotta say is Josh Kelly gave him this job because he's been extremely disappointing.
Yeah, he has
He
been.
should not be on the field.
Yeah.
And also, one thing that I think helps Balage's case is I don't know how sure I am of Eckler coming back
Yeah, where's the news
this
on that?
season, or at least during like the fantasy
Yeah,
season.
yeah.
So, I mean, Balaj definitely is the back to own in that backfield. Justin Jackson isn't all that. Josh Kelly, like you just said, hasn't done anything in his opportunities. So, I mean, if you want to own one of them, it's definitely Balaj, and I would feel comfortable starting him.
Actually, there was a report last Friday about Eckler that he expects to return in week 12. I don't know how much I trust that just because
It's
A
next
lot
week.
can happen. A lot can change.
Yeah.
He is running in straight lines. You want to see him.
What does that mean?
No, like dead serious. There's clips of him literally sprinting in straight lines, but you haven't seen him cutting yet,
I
and that's
can't
where
wait
you
till
can
he
feel
turns.
those injury issues. So
I see what you're saying, Sean.
yeah, I mean, running in straight lines, like obviously, but like you know what I mean. Like Eckler, if he does come back, obviously Balage's value dips a bunch, but Balage still could be in that Josh Kelly role we saw earlier in the season that was still getting some carries. So I like Balage right now the most out of any Chargers running back, as long as Justin Jackson's still out too.
Okay.
Next one here is Rex Burkhead. 6 carries for 31 yards and 4 catches for 35 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Muy
Reach.
interesante.
Are you trusting Rex
I-
Burkhead in your lineups?
I trust him as like a bye week fill-in.
Yeah, he's not getting.
Yeah,
enough
you can get
touches-
lucky.
He's not getting enough touches to be considered a reliable running back. And that game was also so like extremely bad weather where Bill Belichick knew Cam's not throwing the football, so he just run down their throat. Because we saw Damian Harris, who we're going to talk about next, like he did just as fine.
Well, I
Minus the
mean,
touchdown.
Rex scored both of his touchdowns on receptions.
Yeah, that's where he's doing his damage. It looks like Rex has almost replaced James White.
Yeah, that's a very good point there, Sean.
Go ahead, Q. What were you gonna say?
No, I wasn't going to say anything.
He was just
Oh.
angry.
I thought I cut him off, man. I thought that's why he was angry. Anyways, yeah, Rex Burkhead. I'm still leaning towards bust. I just don't trust the Patriots running backs. I mean, they're
Yeah,
so
way
hit or
too
miss.
inconsistent.
But if he completely takes over this James White role, he'll have some decent flex value.
And outside of these touchdowns, if you're in the red zone or inside the 10 for any Patriots running back, don't expect to get the ball because Cam's just going to run it himself.
Cam's gonna run it right on in there.
He already
Yeah.
called dibs on that.
Yeah, and Damian Harris is the running back
Yeah,
that they've been
he
using
is the
too.
running
So
back.
he's the next one here. We're going to talk about 22 carries for 121 yards. He's had 3 of 6 games this season with 100 plus rushing yards, which is actually pretty shocking in today's age. You don't see 100 plus rushing yards that much anymore. Are you trusting Damian Harris?
I think
Yeah.
I'm trusting him more.
If
than
I want to
that.
own any Patriots running back, it's Damian Harris. I mean, any Patriots running back that can get over 100 yards multiple times in one season, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very impressive. I'm trusting Damian Harris right now. I mean, I'm not super high on him because he doesn't get much involvement in the passing game. So he's more of like you need him to get those rushing yards and fall face first into the end zone to have a decent day.
Right.
If he gets more involved in the passing game, obviously you like his upside a lot more. But as of right now, he's a decent low end RB2 with
Well,
how scarce they are.
He's
Once
like a
again,
very, very poor man's Derrick Henry.
if
Very
Cam's
poor.
your quarterback, who's involved in the passing game?
I mean,
Well, no, obviously people are, but I'm just saying how involved can you really get Cam?
we got
Newton?
someone coming up that's been pretty involved. We'll talk
Very,
about him. in a
very-
little
Yeah,
bit.
I'm not gonna spoil it.
I
But,
think everybody knows.
Oscar
let's
Mayer.
move on to some
Yeah.
wide receivers. Let's
There's
just
only
move
one
into
name.
it. Let's start with him here first. Jacoby Myers. He's been involved in the passing game for the Patriots. 5 catches for 59 yards on 7 targets, and he's had 10 plus fantasy points in 4 straight games. Trust or bust on him, Q. What do you think?
I'll trust him, but
Oh, here we go.
Edelman has a chance of coming back this week, and N'Keal
Good point.
Harry. I mean, as bad as you guys think they are, which they're not that great, it's still other players on the field that Cam will look to throw the ball to.
Right. But also, I don't think Cam really had a rapport with Edelman. I mean, I don't think those two clicked.
He had a
I mean, the
first
past
First
4
ones.
weeks, he's been feeding Jacoby Myers. So I think even with Edelman coming back, I think he would trust Myers a little bit more than just feeding Edelman.
Yeah, I'm starting to believe in the Myers connection, but I'm still definitely nervous. Cam has struggled to just pass the ball in general this season, so that's the only thing that makes me nervous. I mean, I'm trusting him as a flex option right now, and as he continues to put up points, I'm confident. But as Q mentioned, Edelman could be coming back soon, and N'Keal Harry or whatever. Pretty much,
Sure.
they're just going to take away some targets more than anything. I mean, Myers has been getting a crap ton of targets, to say the least.
Who are you feeling safe for starting? Not Myers, Edelman or Berg?
I'm not starting
Yeah,
either.
they're both.
their
Yeah.
tight ends.
No.
Yeah,
Patriots-
I'd rather. I'm starting
Myers is
Myers
the
if
only-
any,
Pass catcher, I'm starting.
but I'm still a little nervous right now.
Why is their tight end never talked about?
because they
Izzo?
don't have one.
He stinks.
They definitely don't.
Who
have
is
pretty-
it? I don't even know who he
asked-
is.
It's Izzo.
Oh,
Ryan
I
yeah,
Izzo.
asked
I do know.
a few podcasts ago, like who the Patriots tight
Yeah.
end even was, because I had no idea who it was.
Yeah, they don't use tight ends anymore without Gronk there, and the guy who will not
Actually-
be mentioned.
11 hours ago, they got a new tight end, Jordan Thomas.
Oh, they got him from the
Julius
Texans.
Thomas.
yeah, from the Texans.
Oh my
he
God,
was
Julius Thomas.
he was buried under Darren Fells there and Jordan Akins. So he might be interesting, but I'm still not trusting any Patriots pass catchers right now, besides Jacoby Myers. Back to the top of the list for the wide receivers here. DJ Moore, 4 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. Bounce back after 2 poor games. Trust or bust here?
I don't be
Officially
trusting
boomer
him.
bust.
I trust him as a flex.
Yep.
First,
Go
first
ahead.
touchdown since week 7 and highest receiving yard since week 2, which is only like off by 1 yard. He got 1 more yard or 3 more yards this week than he did week 2. But he's big boomer bust, and I'm not trusting him.
He's actually really good against the Bucks. He's got his most yardage against them. But yeah, I have him. So speaking
Well-
from a DJ Moore owner, he's probably the most frustrating person to own right now. He is the definition of a boomer bust wide receiver that you just have to start because he has that chance of getting those points.
You
So
just hope next year they play the Bucks for 16 games.
yeah, you hope so. But I don't think that's going to happen. He does get Detroit this week, so fingers crossed that they're able to move the ball against that poor
You just need to
secondary.
tell
Alex
DJ
Smith
Moore-
just shared it out.
Tell DJ Moore Sunday morning we're playing the Bucks, and then
Yep.
just go off.
And then he'll have a good game. Yeah, just paint the other team's jerseys or like put red glasses on him or something. Red contacts so he sees everything in red. We'll see. The next wide receiver here, speaking of the Lions, Marvin Jones, 8 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown on 10 targets, 13 plus fantasy points in 4 straight. Trust or bust?
Bust. He will be someone we talk about
Wow.
later, or at least I do. But
I mean,
You said bust?
bust.
the numbers point to me trusting him, but I just don't want to trust him. I just don't really like Marvin Jones in that number 1 role. I like him a lot better. I just don't like him at all.
I don't think he likes the number 1.
I love Marv. He's got
I
some of
don't
the
like
best hands in the league.
Marvin Jones is probably one of the
He
most
easily does.
streaky wide receivers in the league.
Yeah.
He's very streaky. He will have these big games and stack them on top of each other and then disappear. So don't be shocked if he does fall off the face of the earth in the next few weeks.
Although he has been finding the end zone. So, I mean, that is a very big bonus.
I'm trusting Marvin Jones right now as my flex if I had him. I'm rolling him out there.
Yeah,
He's
as
been
long as
solid.
Galladay's not there, you got to roll him out there. You probably don't have better options, as Sean likes to say. So, I mean, if you have a receiver scoring touchdowns, it's hard not to start him.
You got to watch some Marvin Jones highlights or something. You don't know.
I don't
about
like
him.
watching highlights.
You don't know
could-
about him.
I could search the worst player in the NFL's highlights and be like, yo, this
JJ.
was good.
No.
JJ Arthego-Whiteside probably has a nice highlight tape.
From
about
college,
his
and he was
lowlights?
nice in college.
Exactly. But highlights, yeah, I'm with Matt on that. You need to watch like full
No, but-
game film.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying. Marvin Jones obviously has that
You need to
talent. He
see-
was super solid the past few years. He was
But
a top 30
can
wide
do-
receiver
but
option.
He's capable.
And he right now is 35th. So he's a flex option. I'm trusting him.
Yeah.
I'm trusting on him.
Knew that was gonna be said.
I'd be trusting.
Next one here is Corey Davis. So he did not practice today. So if you were planning on starting him, make sure to just monitor that. But 5 catches for 67 yards on 6 targets. He not finally, but bounced back after that big donut last week. Are you back to trusting Corey Davis?
No.
Way
Never
too
trusted him.
inconsistent.
I mean, he had that one bad game. He's been really consistent outside of that, but I'm still nervous too, just because the next 2 matchups, I don't want to start him at Baltimore, at Indianapolis. Like, they just make me nervous. I'm not confident, and I think AJ Brown's going to be who they want to get the ball to. Maybe
Jonnu.
in the playoffs,
Yeah.
Corey Davis could be your solid flex and win you some games there. But next 2 weeks, I would avoid putting him in my lineup if possible.
For surely.
A few tight ends here. We'll start with Q's favorite tight end ever, Rob Gronkowski. 2 catches for 51 yards and a touchdown on only 3 targets. He has 4 touchdowns in the last 5 weeks. Trust or bust on the Gronk?
For the record, I think my favorite tight end ever is LJ Smith. But I'm trusting him. He's had 13 targets in the last 3 weeks, not touchdown dependent, and clearly still a top option for Brady. So I am trusting him with this short list of tight ends. Like, who? I mean, there's not much better.
Yeah, you're starting Gronk if you have him, but I'm still nervous. Like, I'm trusting him because
I think you just hate him.
I just don't like the Bucks right now. They are just scary. Rob Gronkowski's going to disappear
But I mean,
from half of the remaining games.
if there is one consistent part of that offense, you can't say that it's not Gronk.
Well, yeah, recently, aside from last week with his big 1 catch for 2 yards on 6 targets.
The whole team sucked that week.
Yeah, the whole team was very bad that week. I just can't get behind the touchdown dependentness here. I don't know, man.
Gronk next year and Ertz and Goddard left, he would love Gronk. His first
I would
touchdown.
not. I would be happy, but I wouldn't love him.
You
He's
can
too
be
old.
happy with a touchdown dependent tight end if they're scoring 4 times out of the past 5 games.
Yeah, keep rolling Gronk out there right now. I'm not saying not to start Gronk. I'm just saying
Sounds like it.
don't be shocked if he falls
That
down
is what
like
it sounds like.
with all
Does
those
sound like
weapons. There's so many mouths to feed,
You'd
man.
rather
I just
start
can't
Taysom
trust
Hill.
consistency there.
Because of the upside.
I would not rather start Taysom Hill. I had to start Taysom Hill this week. It was awful. Don't do it. Actually, maybe this week, but still very risky. All right. Anyways, next tight end here is Hunter Henry. 4 catches for 30 yards and finally finds the end zone. Trust or bust on Hunter Henry.
He's just like any ball.
He's like any other tight end this year, not named Travis Kelce or Darren Waller.
Yeah. He didn't get the yardage you wanted. It's honestly been very similar games, except this time he happened to find the end zone. The last 5 games, it was 4 catches for 23 yards, 3 catches for 23, 4 for 33, 4 for 33, 4 for 30. He's getting the same volume pretty much every game. Like maybe a little bit of difference in targets there, but he's pretty much his floor is 5, 6, 7, and you're hoping he finds the end zone.
Yeah, he
If
needs a touchdown.
A
Yep.
Herbert owner, and you saw his haircut today, I'd be a little concerned if I was a Herbert owner.
I'm very concerned.
I didn't see his hurt.
He
I
looks
didn't
like
see his
a
haircut.
16-year-old.
He got the shorty.
He already has acne.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
like a
he's
little
different.
kid.
But hold on. After Will Fuller
Little
cut his hair,
Kev.
he's napping.
I
True.
know, but Herbert was good with the long hair. Now he's cutting his hair.
Yeah, I kind of like the flow on Herbert. I
I
was kind of
liked it
upset,
too. I definitely liked it.
but
This is
That's sus.
This
Honestly-
is a sneak peek for our off-season podcast when we just talk about NFL gossip,
NFL gossip.
haircuts, and tattoos.
yeah, sounds like a blast. I'm not excited for that. Let's stay focused on in-season. Justin Herbert's haircut. I don't think it's going to affect Hunter Henry's value that much. I still think he's going to get
It's going to affect Herbert's value.
4 catches and 30 yards every game. Lock it in. 7 points. Hope he gets the end zone. You're trusting him over a lot of other tight ends.
Yep.
Jonnu Smith, 2 catches for 14 yards, but he did get 1 carry for 1 yard and happened to find the end zone on that carry.
That helps. That 1 carry for 1 yard.
He fell face first in the end zone and got the touchdown that you needed. So
I forgot that he scored. I thought you were just adding and they had 1 carry for 1
Yeah,
yard.
me too.
now that's how he scored his touchdown. He did not catch a pass to score.
He
the
should be
touchdown.
their goal line back.
Yeah,
Well,
he-
don't
I
Henry.
don't think so. That was very weird that he even got that. But
He has games with 2, 1, 4, and 9, and he's tight end 4.
That just
I
goes
hate
to show
tight
how
ends.
bad tight ends
I
are.
hate tight ends.
yeah, I mean he has 5 games above 11. So obviously that was a lot early on the season without AJ Brown and Corey Davis banged up and Adam Humphries on COVID. But I'm not
Okay,
trusting Jonnu Smith
You
right
should have
now.
said he had 2 games over 13.
I mean,
that sounds
no,
a little-
he has 3, 13, 24, and 21.
Not over 13.
Yeah.
13 is 13.
Okay.
Greater
Okay,
than or
13
equal
or
to.
more. 14 or more than 14, I guess you could say. Yeah. Tight ends are inconsistent and big games obviously push your stock up in the rankings there. Yeah. Jonnu Smith, he's in the same batch with everybody else. Start him. Tight ends are just ugly right now. So you're just hoping they fall into the end zone or catch a touchdown. Next 2 weeks are pretty tough matchups again. So roll them out there if you're feeling gutsy. Probably not much better on waivers, as I've said 10 times this podcast. All right, let's get into our trade targets. Buy low. I'll start us off. Michael Thomas. Don't think twice. If anyone's worried about Michael Thomas, go get him. I'm staying calm on Michael Thomas. I still think he's going to put up numbers. And now with Jameis Winston slinging the ball down the field, maybe he won't be only catching slants. Maybe he'll be making some outside bombs or
No
out
longer
routes,
slant boy.
fade routes.
It'll just be an extra 2 yards to the slant.
Yeah, an extra couple yards in the slant too. I'm cool with that. As long as Michael Thomas is getting work from Jameis Winston, I think he will be fine. I think he's probably going to target him like he has Mike Evans in the past. Obviously, this is a little bit of a different offense, but I think the Saints are going to test some things with Winston at quarterback with Breeze out. So
If Taysom Hill was announced the quarterback, how would you feel about these guys? Well, I mean,
Awful.
it's pretty much Michael Thomas, I guess. Maybe Emmanuel.
It would just be a run play every down if Taysom Hill was at quarterback.
it would be a college offense.
He'd
So
throw
that
it
would
to
make me
himself.
very nervous.
It really would be a college offense. That's a good way to put it.
It'd be like Tim Tebow offenses back in the day. on the
Chip Kelly
Broncos.
offense.
I would not like it. I'm not about it. But with Jameis Winston at the helm or Drew Brees, I'm still confident in Michael Thomas. Roll him out there. Go get him if someone's panicking. Swing him, Justin Jefferson, off of a big game like you mentioned. I'd much rather have Michael Thomas. Way more upside there. So, and consistency, hopefully, as he will bounce back, in my opinion. All right, Q, who is your buy
Go
low?
Matt. Go Matt. Go Matt.
All right, we're skipping Q for now. Matt, who is your buy low?
It's somebody that we talked about a little bit earlier on the podcast, and that is Ryan Tannehill. I understand that he hasn't had the best past few games, especially the last two where he looked horrible. But I mean, if you're in the playoff hunt, he might have one of the easiest playoff schedules of all quarterbacks. He gets the Jaguars, the Lions, and then the Packers. I mean, he has A.J. Brown back. He's been looking great. Corey Davis has been involved. Jonnu, I don't know, tight ends
He's there.
suck this year. Yeah, he's a body. But, I mean, I have all the faith in the world in Ryan Tannehill. I think he's a good quarterback. Definitely if you're stuck with, I don't know, like a Wentz or someone of that category like Sean, then definitely try and go out and get Ryan Tannehill.
Go Burrow, baby.
Yeah,
So,
Burrow.
I'm in the pocket like Burrow.
stop.
Oh.
Q, are you ready or are we on to you guys? here?
I did think about it a little bit. I thought I had one, but I didn't. I'm going Duke Johnson. He did come. It was a pretty bad game, so I guess some people may have came into that week not being confident, and then they see them put up like 5 points and then not feeling too good. But the positives, he is the only running back on that team. You're not going to start CJ Procise. He played 95% of the snaps and he was 100% of the carries for the running back. So literally the only running back. So David Johnson's still on IR for the next 2 games. There's definitely people out there who may have dropped Duke after last week, but if not, I'm sure you can get him for the low.
Yeah, I'm definitely buying low on Duke as well. I think that's a good one, especially if you're in like a playoff crunch where you need a running back to start this week that'll get you some points. Buy low on Duke, plug him in. All right, T-Gots, buy low. Who you got?
Okay. He's not the greatest, but he has 2 opponents coming up after this week. He has a bye week this week. But Evan Ingram, there's such a shortage of tight ends. And he's on a bye week this week, so you can maybe give someone like an irrelevant tight end they could just throw in there. Or Ingram, if you need like to win the next 2 weeks, need to make that last playoff push. For the last 4 games, he's had 10, 11, and 15. So he's been doing pretty good. Yeah, Cincinnati and Seattle coming up in the next 2 weeks. He could win you a week. You never know. He could just get a touchdown, drop another 15, and
Yeah, I'm with you. Ingram definitely has more upside than some of these tight ends out there.
most of
And they like to get him
most of-
involved in a lot, not a lot, but like some of the running game. I mean, he gets a jet sweep here and there.
weird to me.
He's super athletic, so that's why
Yeah,
they
he
try and get him
is.
involved.
I mean, as long as the player's getting the ball anyway, I mean, it's a plus.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's move on to some sell highs here. I'm selling high on Ronald Jones if I can. Obviously, there's probably not too much of a market out there for him, but if someone's looking for a running back that they need, Ronald Jones is someone I'm moving on from, especially if I'm in the playoff hunt here trying to get a spot. He had 23 carries for 192 yards. Obviously, that big 98-yard run. But he still just doesn't have that much involvement in the passing game, or at least consistently. I still think Leonard Fournette is the guy they want to have more involved in the passing game. So I don't think his floor is that great. He's also had fumbling issues throughout the season. I just don't trust him. I like the big game. I like the promise of that. He obviously has 4 games this season now over 100 yards, but I just don't trust him. They also have a little bit of a tougher schedule the next couple of weeks, the Rams defense, the Chiefs, and then a bye. So it's just not the best right now for Ronald Jones. I just don't trust him. If I can get somebody a little bit more consistent, maybe like Antonio Gibson or something like that, I would try and move on from Ronald Jones, sell high on him.
Sell him.
Sell him, sell him, sell him. All right, Q. Sell high, you ready?
Yeah, I am going to sell high. Do it now. Sell high on Marvin Jones. We talked a good amount about him earlier. He's had 13 or more points in the last 4 weeks. But Galladay practiced today, so he should be returning this week, knock on wood. And Matthew Stafford is dealing with some sort of injury, so who knows what type of impact that has on Marvin Jones. Galladay, I'm not too concerned because he played well last year with David Blau or Chase Daniel, whoever was the backup last year. So yeah, I think this is the highest point of selling Marvin Jones, and I'm sure he'll still have some productive games moving forward, but now's the time. And I also want to say, I think next week I could put money on it that Zeke will be on buy low or sell high, because it's our first week back with Andy Dalton, and I know some people like Sean are high on Andy Dalton somehow turning this team around.
I just have to believe it myself. I have Zeke, so gotta go.
Gotta manifest
gotta hope.
it.
He'll be here.
Yeah, I agree, Q. Matt, who you got? Sell high.
So Josh Allen. He had 2 very good games back to back after bouncing back from his dismal 4 or 5 game stretch. But I don't know. I would think it's just while his stock is still there and it revived itself, I think you dish him off for whatever you can get for him. His playoff schedule, I hate, mainly because we've mentioned the past couple weeks on the podcast that weather has played a big part in players' performances. And in the playoffs, he plays Pittsburgh at home, which the defense scares me regardless there. And then he also plays at Denver and at New England very late in the year. So I think weather may be a concern those 2 games. So I think you could definitely try and get a better quarterback option while you still can.
Yeah, definitely could sell high on Josh Allen and get somebody that has a favorable playoff schedule. Maybe Ryan Tannehill. That's a little pushing it. I think you'd need a little bit more.
Oh yeah, for sure you need a little more than that.
If you're giving up Josh Allen in that. That's because that was Matt's buy low and sell high. Are you flipping them? No, obviously not. But if you could add to that, make that a little bit more spicy.
Add a little sauce to it.
All right, you got sell high. Who you got?
Raise your hand if you trust the Patriots offense.
Trust them to what?
Do you trust
Make
them?
me a sandwich? No.
No.
Tell Rex Burkhead. He has 3
Please.
touchdowns in list. He's not going to keep doing it. That offense is weak. I don't like it.
It's very weird.
Every league has a gator. Someone's going to want to record.
Yo, he's good.
Rex Burkhead has been interesting to say the least, but yeah, if you can sell high on Rex Burkhead for someone that's had some consistency, JD McKissick, somebody a little bit more interesting.
Someone's going to want Rex Burkhead in your league. I guarantee it.
Yeah, somebody's looking for Rex out there. Somebody wants him. So who's going to scoop him up?
I need a T-Rex in my life.
All right, let's get into our last segment before we get into some questions here. League winner. So at this point in the game, if you're in the playoffs, you're looking for something that can help you in the playoffs, or you're looking for someone that can really just take you over the top and get you that championship that you covet. So my league winner target, hear me out, David Montgomery. Now look, he stinks. He's not a great football NFL player, but he is a decent fantasy football player. And listen to this man's schedule for a running back. He plays at Green Bay, is currently second worst run defense in the
Worst.
league.
Yeah.
Detroit is the worst run defense in the league in week 13. And then he gets Houston, Minnesota, and Jacksonville. All favorable matchups for running backs. David Montgomery is going to have a cakewalk into the playoffs. And if you play week 17, also, he gets Green Bay again in the last week of the season. David Montgomery is going to have to be involved when he comes back from his concussion after this bye week. Hopefully, Bill Lazor helps get this offense a little bit back on track. Mitch Trubisky might be the quarterback. Obviously, there's some question marks here. But if Dave Montgomery's healthy, there's literally no other competition. They were running out Cordell Patterson. I think they ran the ball 4 times, only 4 times against the Vikings. They're not running it unless Dave Montgomery's there. He's going to get the work. He's not going to be the most efficient. It's not going to be pretty, but he's going to get you solid RB2 numbers. And if you can get him right now off of a team that does not want him, do it.
I'd be concerned though. Lamar Miller's back.
Lamar Miller had 2 catches on like 5 snaps. He's not doing anything.
I analyzed this game.
2 catches for 6 yards. Lamar Miller's not taking away this backfield. It's David Montgomery's backfield. As inconsistent as he has been, I'm buying him right now. Go get him. Q, do you have your league winner target for us here?
Yeah, this one was tough because Justin Jefferson's like a guy that I was going to originally say because he's like boomer bust. You just wait for another bust week, then maybe you could get him for some reasonable price. But I'm going J.D. McKissick, 31 targets in the last 3 weeks. And if you put anyone's name on instead of J.D. McKissick, like that's not a cute name. If you put like
James White,
that's like then he seems more attractive. If he keeps this up, he's RB1. I would say he's going to be an RB1 rest of year. Played 70% of the snaps. I don't know.
Eyebrow.
But currently he's a high end RB2. And if Alex Smith he had 13 targets last week. I'm sure he's going to be used a lot more moving forward because their offense is strange. But J.D. McKissick could be a low-key RB1. I don't know.
I want you to know you just made Gator's dick so hard.
Is he in the chat?
yeah,
he is probably watching this, like, salivating out of his mouth.
I forgot to warn. Like, I should have waited to see if he was here and then said, like, what I wanted to say.
Nah, I'm with you, Q. I mean, aside from that Dallas game where they actually had the lead, the last 5 weeks he's had at least 6 catches, or the last 6 weeks,
yeah,
6
and
catches
that's
in every
receiver
game.
numbers.
So he's like a wide receiver you can plug into your RB2 spot right now. There's not that much else out there. So I'm with you, J.D. McKissick.
So our league's warned.
He could be a league winner.
That's your warning for our league. Who Gator's going to be sending out some dumb shit.
Gator said so hard. I don't like that at all. That makes me want to vomit.
I hope he starts him and then gets 0. For everybody else, I hope he does well, but somehow someone turns off Gator's scoring for J.D. McKissick.
All right, Matt, hit us with your league winner. Who you got?
My league winner, it's a much more well-known name, but I mean, he didn't have the best week last week. That's Tyler Boyd. I mean, I think he is not by far, but I think he definitely is the best Bengals receiver out there. I mean, his upcoming schedule is a cakewalk aside from Pittsburgh the second week of the playoffs. So he could definitely win you your weeks leading into the playoffs, could win you a couple weeks in the playoffs. I'm not really scared about him going against Pittsburgh because I don't know. I feel like that's always a good game, always high scoring. So, I mean, Tyler Boyd, I'm pretty sure he leads the team in targets and catches so far this year. So he's been rock solid. I would try and go out there, get him, because he definitely will help you win these upcoming weeks and weeks in the playoffs.
Yeah, I like Tyler Boyd, and he did have 10 points this week against Pittsburgh, so that's enough to definitely flex in the playoffs. Trust Tyler Boyd, and he could win you your league. All right, who you got? Wrap it up for the league winners.
Okay. I don't have like some crazy numbers or anything for this one, but George Kittle, if he's on the waivers in your league, you should pick him up. You could trade like some irrelevant player that someone like needs for a bye week or something for Kittle. I would take the risk on him coming back because they're saying that like if the 49ers are in the playoff race and they need to win, like Kittle can come back. Like it's a real possibility that he can come back and play. And that's like going to be in your fantasy playoffs around that time. If you could throw him in, even if you have like Kelsey, you could put Kittle in as like a flex. He'd be like a wide receiver. It's worth the risk. I don't know. I would try to get Kittle.
Yeah, if you can stash Kittle.
If you have an open bench spot, I would definitely add him just to see. I mean, it can't hurt you.
Kittle is a freak of nature, so I would not be shocked if he comes back sooner than doctors
He's an
predicting.
animal.
Yeah, Kittle's nuts. So.
Yeah,
I know. I'm sure he wants to play more than anybody else in the league. He loves it.
He did score like 37 with Beathard as his quarterback, or not Beathard, Mullins and then Beathard. So like obviously it doesn't matter who the quarterback is; they're gonna feed this man.
Yeah, agreed. I just hope you gotta hope that he comes back, but it's definitely a risk. But if you have a bench spot, plug him in there. All right, let's get into some questions here. We had one question submitted from @Richie Souders on Instagram. Pick 2 of these 3 to start this week: Justin Jefferson, Jamison Crowder, and Jacoby Myers.
I think you got to leave Crowder on the bench.
Yeah, because Flacco's playing. I mean, Flacco hasn't really been bad to the pass catchers on New York.
I mean, it looked like he was favoring Perryman though.
Yeah,
I just don't
they do
trust
have some
Crowder's
history, too.
health, man. I don't know.
Me either.
He was
Jacoby Myers has been on fire. I mean, you're clearly starting Justin Jefferson, especially against Dallas this week. I feel like the Vikings are just going to run away with that game.
Jacoby Myers is a risk, but I still think he's a risk I'd be willing to take over Jamison Crowder right now, personally. So
Cass said you look like Kittle.
I'll take it. I'm as strong as them too. What's up?
Yeah, you have to start Justin Jefferson out of those 3, though, no doubt. So it would be between Crowder and Myers for me if you're making that decision. That one's tough. I'd probably go Myers still, though.
Yeah,
He's been more consistent.
For sure.
Q, before you went off on J.D. McKissick, Gator asked if we were trusting him. So I assume we're all trusting J.D. McKissick right now.
you may need to give him some reassurance because I know he doesn't listen.
All right. Do not listen to Q. He is not going to be an RB1 the rest of the season. I don't know where Q pulled that out of his ass from, but
I said potentially.
no, you said I don't know. You sounded
If
pretty
he keeps up
confident
the
in
work, he can be an RB1.
Look, he's a wide receiver that you can plug into your RB2 spot. He's all right.
targets.
That is ridiculous, but
Split that up into 3 weeks. It's like 11, a little less than 11, but that's like a wide receiver's target amount.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know either. Anyways, let's wrap this one up, Q. Hit us with your joke of the week.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, you're so unprepared.
What has more lives than a cat? A frog, because it croaks every day. Matt just didn't want to laugh.
Oh, that one was rough, Q. I'll take it, though. I'll give that one like a 4.5 out of 10.
4.5.
That's a 3-2.
I give it a 3.7. I'm right in the middle.
We're all around the same area there. It was an all right joke.
Yeah, I mean, still sucks.
I laughed the most. All right, that's going to
Sean
be a
has an
wrap.
old man sense of humor. That's why he laughed.
I love dad jokes. Come on now. All right, that's going to be a wrap for the Super Fantasy Bros podcast tonight. If you have any further questions, make sure to drop by tomorrow. We will be answering all the questions in the chat as you shoot them in there. We will be live again tomorrow at 7 p.m. We're also available on all social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Cass did say he could find a better joke on a popsicle stick. So that's a big roast right
That
there.
is true. Or on
That was
Happy
a better joke right there.
I got that joke from a popsicle stick, so joke's on him.
that was a good one. I give that one like a 6.9.
Damn, you're still tough.
That's high.
I know.
Okay, that was funny. All right. But yeah, that's a wrap. Make sure you follow us on social media. If you have any questions, anything, we're always willing to help you out, help you set your lineup and get into the playoffs. It's crunch time, baby. It's a wrap for the Super Fantasy Bros podcast. Peace out.